But hold on though, it's not just that. You could get British socialism, which would be perhaps one of the most benign forms of socialism in the world. But you and I lived through this, all of us lived through the 1970s. You were over in another part of the world, but we saw the 3-day week. We saw candles, and it was great fun for me as a kid that we'd light candles in the middle of in the night because there was no electricity, because of the miners' strikes, you see. And then we, of course, have bread price controls and strikes left, right and centre. You see, what I would say about this, socialism, I'd raise this point about socialism and all the ideologies, they arise like the Protestant Reformation arose because of defects in our Catholic practice. You see, it comes down to this. Yeah, Catholics at the time of the Reformation were living not in the way Jesus wanted. Not the leaders, the powerful ones. And so you get a reaction. Often the heresies prior to the Reformation were reactions. That's why they gained strength and support. It's not just always a brilliant idea. It's like we're reacting. Well, hold on a moment. It is, just to analyse the situation, it is a reaction often to wicked behaviour. And so that's the early centuries and the up to the Reformation. Then when you get beyond the religious phase of the West, you're into the Enlightenment, you get the French Revolution then. Why do many people flock to that? What have the church been doing during the Ancien Régime? What have they been doing before the Russian Revolution? What have they been doing in the times in 19th century Europe when the industrial system was being established, and the vast majority of ordinary people who were Christians were going into the factories and having terrible times of it? Pope Leo the 13th or Pius the 11th, I can't remember which one it was, I think it's Pius XI, said that in the 19th century we lost the working class of Europe. And so socialism arises because of the defects of the practice of Catholicism by those who have power. And this is not just like defects by the clergy, this is defects of Catholic lay leaders. You know, they could be bankers, they can be businessmen of other sorts, they can be politicians. But if they don't live the Catholic life that they're supposed to live, because in Catholic medieval thought, there's two spheres. There's the secular sphere. We're not like Caesaro-Papists, like the Byzantines were, or the Eastern Orthodox are in principle, where the emperor is a religious figure as well. We have definite spheres. The religious sphere, which is the Pope, the bishops and so on, and the secular sphere, which is the emperor, or the king, or the parliament. And both are meant to be Catholic, but they have separate functions. And yes, the religious sphere can speak to the secular sphere in terms of giving it advice and guidance, but it is a separate sphere in itself. If this Catholic sphere that is secular fails in its duty, the Catholic state will totter and eventually fail. And so the Ancien regimes all over the West fell because of that defect. And the only way to rebuild it is by recognising this duty of Catholics. And it can only be built from the bottom up.